Luther recap, the story so far of the Idris show from Season 1 to The Fallen Sun. The last time we encountered Idris Elba was Detective Chief Inspector John Luther. He was cuffed up and under arrest for a multitude of murders, for which he was, in fact, completely innocent. As cliffhanger go, the end of Luther Season 5 was a doozy, and now, 4 years on, we're to finally find out what happened after that dramatic Series 5 closer. With the release of the long-promised Luther feature film The Fallen Sun on Netflix from the 10th of March. But how did we get to that point? To prep you for Luther's inaugural big-screen adventure. Here's the story so far, from that very first TV episode in May 2010 to his final terrestrial outing on the 4th of January 2019. When we first meet Maverick Cop DCI John Luther, Idris Elba, he's working for London's Serious Crime Unit and separated from his wife, Zoe, Indira Varma, who's now shacked up with new beau, Mark Paul McGann. Unlike later series, Season 1 pits Luther against a different antagonist each episode, including a Satanist who kidnaps women and drains them of their blood, a former army sniper who's targeting random civilians, and a serial killer who robs his victims of their jewelry. But threaded through those 6 episodes is Alice Morgan, Ruth Wilson, an icy, Oxford-educated psychopath who develops a close, quasi-romantic relationship with our rule-bending hero. The season climaxes with Luther's colleague, DCI Ian Reed, Stephen McIntosh, murdering Zoe, before being gunned down by Alice. Nina Simone's Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. Luther's second series jettisoned the episodic format, and was made up instead of 2 two-part stories. In the first, Luther is tasked with finding a punch mask-wearing serial killer, Lee Ingleby, who bases himself on the 19th century folkloric figure Spring-Heeled Jack, while at the same time attempting to rescue a teenage girl, Amy Fionn Edwards, from the world of organized crime. Another run of 4 episodes, made up of 2 double-parters. In the first story, Luther finds himself on the trail of a murderer who, it turns out, is being manipulated by a now-aging serial killer. While in the second, our hero is assigned to hunt a vigilante killer, Tom Marwood, Elliot Cowan, who targets criminals whom he believes deserve to die. While all this is going on, DS Justin Ripley, Warren Brown, is co-opted into an investigation into Luther's, let's say, unconventional policing methods, before he's popped by Marwood. The series ends with a returning Alice stabbing Marwood in the neck before absconding. Just one 2-part story this time. Several months on from the end of Series 3. Luther is lying low in a rundown shack on the coast, before he's drawn back into policing when a cannibalistic serial killer, John Heffernan, suffering from Cotard syndrome, that's a condition where someone holds the belief that they're actually dead, begins a murder spree. At the same time, Luther is told that Alice Morgan is dead, and discovers that an organized crime boss named George Cornelius, Patrick Malahide, was instrumental in her death. Luther's final season, screened over 4 nights in January 2019, looked very much like a full stop. In it, Luther finds himself investigating a man, Enzo Salenti, who leads a respectable life as a surgeon by day, but by night is a ruthless killer, aided in his crimes by his psychologist wife, Hermione Norris. But our favorite DCI also has to contend with George Cornelius, who blames Luther for the kidnap of his son, who it turns out has been abducted by Alice Morgan, who wasn't dead after all. Vela surprise. Cornelius hires a hitman who kills Luther's longtime buddy Benny, Michael Smiley, only for George to shoot the assassin dead, framing Luther for the murder. The series ends with Alice falling to her apparent death and Luther under arrest. And so here we are. 4 years after being led away in cuffs, John Luther is back for his first feature film. Penned by series creator Neil Cross and directed by Jamie Payne, who helmed all 4 episodes of Season 5. Luther, The Fallen Sun begins with our hero in the clink, while London finds itself terrorized by yet another serial killer. someone that Netflix's official synopsis describes as a cyber psychopath, Andy Serkis. "When I first read the script I literally wanted to have a shower," the Gollum actor told Good Morning Britain recently. "It was one of the darkest parts I've ever been offered and I did almost consider not doing it. It's so well directed," he went on. "For people who loved the TV series, this is on an elevated, bigger scale of that." What the critics think of Luther, the Fallen Son. Evening Standard: "It's good to have Idris Elba's crime fighter back." 3 minutes read. Independent: "Netflix film makes a good case for Idris Elba as the next Batman." 3 minutes read. Digital Spy: "Luther, the Fallen Son is more of the same, for better and worse." 3 minutes read. "We always knew that season 5 was the end of DCI John Luther," Neil Cross told Zavi recently. "He couldn't get his badge back after that, which meant there had to be a new dynamic in place for the movie. Even though Luther won't be a DCI in this, rest easy, the trench coat is back. As is his former boss, and one of the few Luther regulars who isn't now dead. Martin Schenk, Dermot Crowley. So although this won't quite be the Luther of old, with its gritty London locations and grisly serial killer baddie, this is still very much the Luther we've all grown to love since 2010. Roll on the sequel. Luther, the Fallen Son is streaming on Netflix from Friday, the 10th of March. Watch the trailer below.